I am going to be making a purple hull pea dish. This is new for me. I found some at the local farmers market down here in Thackerville, Oklahoma. And so I picked up some and was told they needed to be washed and rinsed really well. And I did find lots of little green leaves and stuff in them as I was washing them. So you clean them up. And fresh peas, purple hull peas, take about 30 minutes to where they're nice and soft. And you don't really want to cook them any softer because then they're just going to turn to mush. So that's one ingredient. Obviously, the dish is being built around them. Now I'm also using, I want good flavoring, so I've got 2 medium-sized onions. I'm going to do 3 carrots, 2 medium-sized sweet potatoes. It looks like a lot, but it really ends up being a really good flavor. I've got, at the market, I got also okra, and I used okra earlier in a beef roast in my pressure cooker, but I'm going to use what's left over in this. I have about 2/3 of a nice sized clove of garlic. I'm going to be using all of this. In fact, I'm also going to be adding some garlic powder because this is all the garlic I have left over. So, so that'll be the vegetables, and I will be using 1.5 packages of Hillshire Farm beef smoked sausage. It'll give it that little bit of smoky flavor, plus it'll add protein to the dish. So that'll be 1.5 packages. My seasoning mix is going to be turmeric, which I get at the Asian market because it's a lot cheaper than buying the little jars at the store. I'm going to be using Madras curry powder, which will add a nice little spice to the dish. I use Himalayan salt. I will be using a little white pepper, and like I said, I'm going to be adding a little bit of garlic powder also. And I also picked this up at an Asian market because it's a lot cheaper than the little jars in the store. So, and to start my dish, I'm going to be using just plain old-fashioned lard. And if you have something against lard, you're going to need some fat. So you can either use ghee, or you could use butter, or some other kind of oil if that's what you're into. But saturated fat is a necessity for the body, and so I just use plain and simple lard. So I'm going to pause the video, and I'm going to prep all of my vegetables, and then I will be back momentarily. Okay, so I've got my vegetables all cleaned up. I've done my 2 onions, and I like mine diced fairly small. I've got my 2 sweet potatoes, again, just nice little bite-sized pieces. I've got my 3 carrots, about the same size as my sweet potato because they will cook about the same length of time for the density. I've got my okra that I had left yet. So I've got that all cleaned up, cut the ends off, the stems off, and I dice them cut them into nice little pieces. I've got my leftover, about 2/3 of a big clove of garlic. I've got that all diced up. And I took my 1.5 of sausage and cut it in half, and then just cut it in nice bite-sized pieces. So now I'm going to be putting my spices together. I did 20 grinds of Himalayan salt, which measures out to approximately 3/4 teaspoon. I'm going to be adding, because I want a little more garlic than what I've got, so I'm going to throw an additional 1/8 teaspoon. It doesn't sound like much, but dried garlic powder has got quite a bit of equivalency to it. So I'm going to do 1/8 of a teaspoon of the garlic powder because I want a little extra. And I'm going to do approximately 1/8 of a teaspoon of white pepper. It might be a little on the shy side, but that's okay. And then as far as my, let's see, my turmeric goes, I want a teaspoon of turmeric. Again, the health benefits of turmeric are beyond belief. It's in the Indian culture, from my understanding is that they pretty much use turmeric almost at every meal, and they appear to be a pretty healthy stock of people. And I like curry, so I'm going to add a teaspoon, in fact a healthy teaspoon and a half of curry powder. Ooh, the smell of curry, wow, just absolutely delicious. So that's my spices, and of course I have my 2 cups of purple hulled peas, and I forgot to mention earlier that a person's going to need some water. Oh, I forgot. I don't use the faucet water here. I use spring water. So I have a cup of water that I'm going to do, and for the sake of not having it spill all over the place, I'm going to set the cup inside of a bowl. So there's my vegetables, my seasoning. Smells good enough to eat without cooking, but you don't get the flavor meld. So let me go ahead and put a few things aside. My husband and I live in an RV, so consequently you can see that space is not exactly tremendous. So let me get set up for my pan and stuff, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm all set up here. I'm going to use my wok pan. Hopefully it's big enough. I'm going to go ahead and get it going on high. So this is kind of a strange southern dish built around purple hulled peas, and a neighbor told me it sounds like I have a Thai twist because of the curry and the turmeric. And let's just cook it in a wok pan. So that ought to give some multicultural flair to this whole dish. So let's see what happens. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a couple tablespoons, that's probably about 3, into my hot wok. Again, you always want to heat your wok before you use it. You don't want to. Everything I've read says make sure your wok is hot. You want to make sure your oil is hot and starting to bead up on the side of your pan, because we do want to cook these vegetables and slightly, what I do with my onion. There it is behind me. Like I said, we're in an RV. We don't have the most room, so I'm going to test a little bit. That needs to heat up just a little bit more. They're not sizzling quite good enough yet. So let me heat that a little bit more. And I'm going to remove my meat to the back. I'm going to put my garlic back a little bit so I don't have everything crunched right in front of me. Okay. There, that onion sounds, can you hear the sizzling? Certainly probably can see it sizzling in the pan. So I'm going to throw the rest in because I want that onion to slightly soften before I add anything else. So, and again, keep your burner on high so that you keep it cooking. You don't want your onions to slow down. And wondering, I've got a little bit of a draft going through the kitchen here, so I probably need to see if I can lower the draft level a little bit. Turn my fan down to medium on the floor. It's a warm day today. It's 90 plus degrees again in September. crazy, but it is Oklahoma. So, alright. You see they're starting to get a little bit translucent. Oh, found myself an onion skin. No harm done, but it doesn't taste the best to chew on onion skin when you're eating your dish. And I don't really have a name for this dish. Like I say, it's built around the purple hull peas. I don't know exactly if they only grow in the south. My guess is they do. You see how beautiful those onions are starting to look. And don't worry about that fat being saturated, because saturated fat is something your body can actually use, and it helps keep your blood vessels more pliable. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of water, actually all the water, and I'm going to throw my carrots in, and my sweet potatoes in. I'm going to have a full pot. I'm not going to throw my okra in yet, but I am going to go ahead and throw my seasoning in, because I want that seasoning to meld those vegetables, to start picking up some of that seasoning, that curry and turmeric. And I go easy on my dishes for salt, because you can always add salt, but it's a lot more difficult to start removing salt. And my husband likes a little heavier salt. I like a little lighter salt. So between us, we work it out. All right. These need to come to a boil. And when it comes to a boil, I will probably go and throw my peas in. I'll hang on to my measuring cup just in the event that I were to need a little more water, but I don't think I will. All right. Okay, I'm going to put the cover on this, because I want these vegetables to steam, and while they're simmering away a little bit, I will pause and be right back. Okay, so my vegetables are starting to simmer, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add my garlic, because I want that to really be melding the flavor. Get that into the mix. Get every bit of garlic I can manage. Can't waste it. I'm going to throw my peas in here. That was 2 cups. Get them in there. I'm going to throw my okra in there. And I'm going to go ahead and mix that first, and then I'm going to put the sausage in too. So, and then pretty much just let those flavors come together, and let those sweet potatoes and carrots cook. And that will also get my okra cooked. It will heat my peas. And again, those I had pre-cooked about 30 minutes. And those are fresh peas. Oh my gosh, look at that. Can you believe that? That's like, oh. Throw all that sausage in there. Just give it a little stir. So you want everything. A little bit of smokiness from the sausage to come through. I could even have more sausage in there for how much vegetables I have. And like I said, I really don't have a name for this dish, because it's kind of a recipe that I'm pulling out of my own hat here. Flavors that I think would look, smell, and taste good together. And so if anybody's got an idea go ahead and pass it on to me. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and cover that again and let that just go ahead and let those vegetables cook. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and get my dishes done so I have my kitchen nice and cleaned up. All right, be back with you shortly. Okay, we're going to take a peek at this. It's been about 10 minutes since I added the sausage and the peas and the okra and the garlic. And it's just doing a nice little simmer. I have not turned the heat down because this is a pretty large pot of vegetables and stuff. And it takes a little bit to keep it going. Plus, I do have an air conditioner and a fan running, so that's also going to bother the heat a little bit to maintain the heat source. So let me take a quick check. Take a fork and do a quick check on a pretty good sized piece of, oh, no, they need to cook a little bit yet. Let me see if I can find. The carrot's actually getting there, but the larger piece of sweet potato it's a little bit al dente yet. I like to have my vegetables and the okra are a little bit on the tight side yet. So we'll cover them up and we'll give them another 10 minutes or so. I'll be right back. Well, checking time. As you can see, we've got a nice little boil going here. Probably just a hair strong, but I also want to cook off a little bit of the liquid that you can see. I've got a little bit, I probably should have had just a hair less water, but you also need that liquid to be able to steam those vegetables. After all, this is kind of a stir fry in a sense, but not a stir fry. I'm not working with sesame oil and noodles and stuff. This is a meat and vegetable dish. No grains, no pastas. So it's just a hearty dish. And if you really want to have something, you probably to go along with the curry theme and stuff, make some naan bread, some Indian bread. I'll bet that would be absolutely delicious, dipped into the sauce of this, which I just thought about just now. And I do have found recipes for naan bread, and I've had it in a Thai restaurant. Oh my goodness, it was delicious. So talk about having fresh bread with all these fresh cooked vegetables. So let me see. I've got a nice big chunk of, looks like sweet potato. Yep, and that's tender. Let me see if I can find a nice chunk of carrot. I know, you're probably saying, how in the heck can you tell the difference between sweet potatoes and carrots when they're all the same color? But you can, because your carrot's going to have a little bit of a green in it, which is going to change. Here's a piece of carrot, which is going to, oops, that one must be a little al dente. It wants to jump away at me. Yep, that one's not ready. So I'm going to leave it uncovered for a little bit and let some of that steam take down some of the liquid. And I would say maybe about 5 minutes should remove some of that. And you don't want it all gone because you don't want a dry dish. And the juice is so good for you too. Okay, we're just going to leave that cook a few minutes, and then we should be good for a taste test. Okay, I'm typically a cook-as-you-go person, but changing these seasonings other than from what I've grown up with in the north and coming to use curry and stuff, I'm going to taste my broth and see if I need to add something to it. Can you come taste this, John, and see what you think? I know what I think I would add, but I'd like to know what you think. Let me get a clean spoon, because after all, you don't want to double dip. Ooh, hot's hot. What do you think? Let me guess. A smidge of salt?
Maybe it's.
No? Leave it alone?
I'm just waiting for the.
I have a little less curry than I think I would care for, but actually I still think the flavor is good.
Oh, the flavor's good.
If
yeah.
you don't like, if you like a lot of curry, I would definitely go heavier on the curry. But actually it's got a really nice flavor. If you like your food a little bit milder, I like just a little more heat to my food. This is actually quite good though. So we'll leave it the way it is. We can add a little salt if we want it. All right, so there we are. This is what it looks like, if you can see it. So it's got really nice flavor. It's a southern vegetable. Build a dish around a southern vegetable. Add a little Thai flair to it, Indian flair, and there we go. Turn the heat off, and this will be our dinner tonight. And also some will be going in the freezer, so when we hit the road, we're able to have some quick meals when we get to our new campground. All right, thank you so much for watching, and please give me any comments that you might have. Like I said, I don't have a name for the dish yet. It's got purple hulled peas in it, and sausage, and lots of vegetables, so give me an idea. All right, thanks.